What is going on? This is Shango Ray, aka Real Deal Ray. And this is your Shangodiac for all my Geminis out there. That's right, all the gems. Before we get into this, of course, you already know, like, share, subscribe, and thrive. Like, share, subscribe, and thrive. And if you're hard of hearing, but there's no captions on here, like, share, subscribe, and thrive in that order. The order of operations. This particular Shangodiac is brought to you by the Quantum Bruja doll. That's right. What is a Quantum Bruja doll? Well, I could show you an example of one first and foremost, because we got Mini Go right here. And I know this looks to be like, what is that, yo? It's blah, blah, blah. Yes, I do know. It does bring a smile. Mini Go brings a smile to everybody's face. But you have to be able to look. Hey, and Mini bought out too. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what's up, baby? All right. Anyways, these are actually spiritual tools, you know, fashioned in our likenesses. A lot of clients are stepping up. The basis for this is, it's in the name, a quantum bruja doll. So we're approaching things from a quantum perspective, but that doesn't mean it's not a spiritual perspective. In my opinion, quantum physics is basically uh, Western intellect's way of trying to explain magic as best as they can. Um, but in quantum theory, and it's more than a theory actually, there are almost infinite amounts of parallel different universes. In each one of these universes, there's a version of you. Now, maybe you feel like you're lacking something. Maybe you want to do something, get something, be something. Everything always starts at the identity level. For example, if you want to be somebody who's more financially secure, if you want to be somebody who looks a particular way, has a particular kind of body, has a particular kind of relationship, you have to be that version of yourself in which the money or the relationship or the ideal body is just basically a byproduct now of who you are, you know? So the theory behind this, it's not the theory, let me correct myself. The model that we're using is that for anything you can think of, there's a version of yourself who's doing it, who is that. You can obviously, since this is you, even though it's not you, but it is you. Okay? You can tap into this version of you that already exists right now. How? Well, there's a lot of different ways to do that. You need nothing. But for a lot of us, having a tool helps. And having a tool that our subconscious mind can recognize. Everybody has had toys or dolls or, figures, action figures or whatever the hell you want to say, for most part anyway. Most of us have at least had some as a child. We know what it's like to play as a child, to assume that childlike mind state where anything is possible. That's why in the Bible it talks about um, to approach things as a child. You know, that's what they're talking about because children ain't bogged down with all this bullshit like all of us have been. And then we have to go unlearning all this shit. So this is a way to kind of tap into alternate versions, bring their essence here to you now in your particular space. And essentially what you're doing is you're kind of merging, but you're also switching into a dimension where you are that person who has A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's what we're talking about. And there's a whole host of ways that you could do that. And the point is to definitely have fun with it. Imagination is king or queen, okay? Get your quantum bruja doll, all right? Without further ado, let us discuss what type of cards that you got going on here. Now, I did 6 cards, okay? 3 on top, 3 on the bottom. The 3 on top are the main headline. The ones in the back will give something, some more information to the card on top. Case in point, you got a 6 of spades. You're not the only one who got this card. I think Capricorn just got this card too. This is actually kind of good news for some of you Geminis, depending. And underneath that is a queen of diamonds reversed. Okay, so what this is speaking about also too, it's coming through a couple different ways. Okay, on one, it's a balancing, a spiritual type of balancing. Okay, you might have been more just all into the world or the physical world, or you might have been just all into spiritual shit, but most likely because it's been said a lot of Gemini seem like they could be bipolar or have split personalities or whatnot. um, but this is kind of like a balancing of two worlds, if you will. Okay, it's also a balance of work life and shit. So for those of you who can say that, hey, yes, my work life is balancing out, even amongst all this bullshit right now, that's good. But the other, I would say the more general, the main thing with this card is this card is the great equalizer, in my opinion. This is also the card of um, karma. You know, karma is another way of, for the sake of this video, you could look at it as cause and effect. So whatever the cause was, we're now looking at the effect of that. And for those of you Geminis who are attracted to this video, and this reading resonates with you, then this is actually a good thing. This is not reversed, meaning this card is like, how can I explain this? I think I'll explain it as I did in the last video for the Capricorns who got this too. If your car blows up tomorrow, don't be surprised if right after that you find a bag of money or something happens to offset that. It's an equalizer, okay? Um, if you lose your job, don't be surprised. The very next day or 48 hours later, you have another job. It's shit like that. And it just kind of allows you to really not miss a beat. Now, of course, it also depends on what you have been sowing, what kind of seed you've been sowing, how you've been treating yourself, how you've been treating other people. You know, what has been the main thing though is what has your thoughts been? What, not just your thoughts, but the thoughts and your emotions. What has your main thoughts and emotions been? Because those circulate and those come back to the point of origin. You're going to get to experience whatever it is you're putting out. So that's that. The other thing here, some of you Geminis are dealing with a Virgo, possibly a Virgo woman. Okay, this woman can seem kind of needy. She may be even getting you down a little bit, at times, or maybe you feel, oh, this and that or whatnot. Um, I also feel like if it's not a romantic thing, it can also be somebody like a family member or somebody who does kind of have somewhat of a kind of like a motherly type of energy to them. But in this case, this person has been very needy of you, you know, um, almost in a way kind of like distracting you sometimes. You know what I mean? Like in a myriad of ways, whether it's asking to borrow money, whether it's, hey, can you take me here? Can you do this? Can you do that? Blah, blah, blah. And it's just like on an energetic level, it feels like you're giving or it's getting taken from you and not really being returned. Okay? Now, at the same time, somehow this lady may also be able to assist for some of you Geminis. Maybe a woman, an earth sign, who's able to actually maybe even help out financially. Okay, that's demographic B. All right. So, where are we at with time? All right. There's also going to be a start of a new passion. Okay, the start of a new passion. And I do feel like this passion could lead to finances. When you start tapping into passion, there's no, you know, there's no rules, there's no law that can stop something sometimes, And it's also something that is connected to your own self-worth, how you feel about yourself, you know what I mean? And it makes you actually view yourself in a higher value, which is cool, which is something you probably need right about now, okay? Now, this, of course, also means start of a new relationship. Some of you are going to be meeting somebody who you really, really click with. Might even be online. I figure a lot of people now are going to be meeting a lot of people online now. Um, but yeah, and also, whatever this is, there's going to be a lot to learn about yourself by the way you deal with your money, because money is just a representation for energy. Energy is consciousness, your very own consciousness, objectified or placed outside of you so you can deal with it. You know what I'm saying? So you can interact with it, so you can experience it. And your relationship to money definitely also does say a lot about your relationship with yourself. And I think some of you Geminis are going to actually be learning that shit. Okay. Now, the last card here comes with a little bit of warning, I guess you could say, or a caution. Okay. There is a chance that some of you Geminis who are viewing this particular video right now, I see also down a little bit down the road, not too far, okay, a change of heart. There is also a chance that some of you can get one of your tires stuck in the mud of depression. And you definitely want to be careful about that. Okay? You definitely want to be careful about that. And I will show you your cards. Boom. This might also be brought about by a particular relationship, maybe even a relationship mentioned, okay? There also could be a form of restlessness. I'm sure there's a form of restlessness with a lot of you Geminis, forming right now, especially. If you don't do this, if you don't use the time is going to do you, okay? And it's not even going to spit on it, okay? It's going to just bend you over and, all right, dry. So use the time that you have now. If you're able to, if you are fortunate enough to still be able to make money or be employed in some form of fashion, of course, continue to do your best at that. But this is also tied into not admitting to yourself what it is that you really want. For some of you Geminis, it may be a case of some of you Geminis can come off as like, well, I don't care what anybody thinks and this and that. And for the most part, you don't. Within most contexts, you don't. But when it comes to doing certain things, even you will get self-conscious about what are they going to think? What are they, Behind this Eight of Hearts is this. And the Four of Diamonds is often about what do I really want? And not just what do I really want, but why? And not just why. What are you doing about it? It's one thing to know this and identify this. It's a very valuable step. It's probably the most valuable step in any step before you go doing any law of attraction, any magic, any physical actions. Like, you got to know where you're going. You got to know what it's about. And you got to know why. You got to know the what and the why. The what and the why will also show you the who. Who do you need to be in order to realize this? Realize this. Make it real. And the first place you got to make it real is in your consciousness. It cannot become real in your outside objective world if you don't do that first. But if you do know this and you turn your back on yourself and you don't, I don't want to say pursue, but engage, um, experience this version of you, take those steps to transfer into this version of you, then there's going to be consequences. And a lot of times that can be also that feeling of depression. And that feeling of depression, maybe there's certain things that, oh, I know what it is, but I just can't. There's no fucking excuses, really. If at the very, very least, all you can do is within the realm of your imagination, practice making it real to you, experience it there. The purpose of visualization is not to do something in the outside world. The purpose of visualization is to experience whatever it is right here, right now. That's it, and that's all. By exposing yourself to the experience of that shit, yes, a byproduct now is it's going to real eyes, okay, become real for you in your experience. And you will experience it all around you as being real. But if you don't, if you know this, but you don't do nothing about it, there's usually a price to pay. And many will become depressed or whatever. And they'll be under this whole, they'll kind of fool themselves. Well, I don't really know what no, you know what you want. You've just been afraid to fucking admit it and to take that step towards it. That's what the real thing is. And if you can at least admit that, that's going to feel like a 50-pound plate just taken off your chest, you know? Peace and blessings, Gemini.